for many pregnant women, it feels like they're just waiting for the end of this. You know, it's like, when is it gonna be all over already? And then there comes a surprise.
And endings are just new beginnings.
Right.
So yes, the new beginning of interacting with this new being that's in your life, it's a whole new relationship, and is completely dependent upon you for its love, its support, its care, everything that it needs. And it's a major adjustment in life.
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day, no time off, no coffee breaks. Always on duty, and it's a massive requirement and a major endeavor to shift everything that we've known before that point into being in complete selfless service to this being, which I know for me, that seems like the only way that I could do it. And making the decision to have a child, I was very aware for myself that if I'm going to have a child, it's going to be because I want to be the mother. I want to raise it. I want to be there to raise this child and I'll support the unfolding of this precious spirit that I feel comes in as a master. Like, I feel like children really come in as masters, and we can interact with them in a way such that we support their mastery in its unfolding and support their brilliance to shine through without getting in the way and imposing, our limitations upon them, which is really difficult to do. And it's really, I think, parenting in general is the ultimate refiner. The children are the mirrors for us that show us where our limitations are and challenge us to look at our boundaries. What boundaries are there? What boundaries are we choosing to pass on? What examples are we passing on to them? And that's been one of the most crucial factors of parenting for me. That's been an amazing challenge and an amazing gift, as it's like being forged in the fire. It's instant evolution, as this being who's so pure, without any of that stuff in the way, is reflecting to you all of these things that you're forced to look at and forced to draw upon, or called to draw upon, that deep well of strength as you've been up all night breastfeeding. You're exhausted, your patterns are erratic, you haven't had time to make a appropriate meal, and you're juggling so much all at once. And yet the love, the unconditional love that you have for this being is so complete and transcends all of it, that there's a deep well that we can draw upon that I had never touched into before. Beyond, you think you can't possibly handle another thing, and yet there it is, you're required to show up.
What is it that sustains you through the challenges of parenting?
Well, it is that love. It is that unconditional love. And yet, the word unconditional love can be empty to somebody else, but it's such a full experience of, like, when this being has come from you, been birthed through the cells that you are, it's a part of you, it's an extension of you, it's that feeling that you would do absolutely anything for this being, like anything that could possibly, wow. I don't know how to say this. Like, for instance, ways that we interact with our children, our babies, and regard them, that impact our relationship with them and how they develop. So, as I mentioned, you have this gorgeous baby that was birthed beautifully, peacefully, ecstatically, and in love. And then there's ways that we can interact with them that continue to cultivate that imprint that they come in with, that helps to support that in its unfolding, in ways that you're really honoring them as the masters that they are. And I know with my son that I never used baby talk with him. That's one thing that really felt very, very clear to me, that I hear people speak with their babies, and it sounds very cute and affectionate, and I know that it gets their attention, but that, like, cuckoo, ka. And I always feel that it feels a little bit degrading, actually, because when my son came into this world and I gazed into his eyes, I experienced such a deep well of wisdom pouring from those eyes that I could only speak with him in a way such that I felt like he could understand everything I was saying. Whether he understood the English words or not, he understood the transmission behind the words. So really importantly, placing our attention on what's behind what we're saying, so that our words are reflecting what's really true. and that they're aligned, that they're congruent. So when someone's just like, to me, it means nothing. It's just like fluff in the middle of the air that the baby's sitting there like, what is this person talking about? I'm like, what planet did I land on? So really, and also with my son who's now 3 years old, I don't dumb down, or I don't simplify my words too much. I actually just speak with him as if he's an adult. And at this point, he asks me if there's a word he doesn't understand. He says, what does this word mean? And I explain what the word means in as simple terms as possible so that he can understand it. But he has an extensive vocabulary at 3 years old. He speaks more articulately than many adults do, And so I think there's a great possibility where we can regard our children as masters, as intelligent beings that do understand everything we say, and that we're transmitting to them truthfully, and that our words always match what we're actually feeling and saying. So when my son asks me a question about how I'm feeling or how I'm doing, I don't put on a mask on my face and give an answer that doesn't match what's actually true for me. I'm actually very honest with my son if I'm having a hard time, if I'm upset about something, if I'm angry about something, whatever it is, I'm true with him, and I honor him that he can understand and that he can feel what's going on, because that's the model that I'm giving him, that he can be a being that's of full integrity, that on all levels it's all matched all the way through. Because otherwise, if I'm feeling upset about something but I say, oh, I'm doing fine, then I'm giving him the model that it's not okay for him to express what's really true for him, that he has to hide what's true and paint a different picture, and that's absolutely not what I want to be modeling for him. So modeling is really crucial, essential, and so modeling can be fit in through so many different structures of what we're teaching our children, because they're really learning from what we're modeling. They're not just, it's the, do as you say as you do. It's really, really, really important, most important thing about parenting. I think probably one of the most fundamental keys of parenting. Gosh, there's so many branches I could go into from this point, and I know we're losing our light. How's it looking?
It looks pretty good.
Okay.
But it's like maybe 3-4 more minutes. While we're still getting rid of this light.
Yeah. And starting from the beginning, like one aspect too was the elimination communication that I spoke about in the special features of the first birthing movie. That's just one example of ways that we honor our children's intelligence and respect them. That we're honoring their rhythms, allowing the rhythms to be natural, allowing them to be free, and responding appropriately to them. So rather than, in our society, there's often a tendency to cover things up and put a Band-Aid on it and hope that it is okay. So like, for instance, our children come into the world and we stick a diaper on them and just say, oh, just, poop in your diaper, pee in your diaper, and we'll just clean it up. It's all right. And we're teaching our children that it's okay to sit in your own excrement and be uncomfortable in it, and we'll just clean up the mess afterwards, rather than teaching them from the very beginning that they can be in tune with their rhythms, they can respond to their rhythms appropriately, and that they have an active participation in that. So my son, from 2 weeks old, I began to notice his rhythms of when he would eliminate, and to give a cue so that we could respond together, and associated a sound with the act of eliminating. And at 2 weeks old, realized he's completely intelligent, as I would associate the sound with the act, and then after about a week, I figured out what the signals were that he was going to eliminate, and took him to the sink and made the sound, and on cue he started to go, and realized that they're so intelligent and they deserve to be respected as these intelligent beings. And so at 6 months old, my son was potty trained, and that's a great possibility for every child. And not only was he potty trained, but he was never trained to sit in his own excrement and to be in that, yeah.
Big savings.
Big savings. Big savings. And my son is a deeply sensual being that's fully connected to his body. He never had to desensitize his sexual organs. He could stay totally connected to his whole body, all the rhythms, everything that's occurring for him, and not be ashamed of himself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have.
Yeah.